Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on Zoom today. My name is Joanne Legler. I'm the Director of Admissions for the MBA for Executives program at the Yale School of Management. As you can see, I'm joined today in person in our studio in Evans Hall by my colleagues David Daniel and Emily Whitehouse. And our colleague Liz Lewis is helping out on the back end, and she's happy to answer any questions that you might have in our Q&A, or we'll leave some time at the end of our time together for live Q&A. So don't be shy, put those questions in the Q&A when you're ready. Our intention in the next 45 minutes or so is to provide you with a high-level overview of our program, the admissions process, and as I said, if time allows, we're excited to answer your questions directly in the end. So thank you very much for joining us today. I want to start with welcoming you to Yale. I really appreciate this photo of our reading room inside of Sterling Memorial Library. And our reading room is just this really lovely, peaceful place, and perhaps you can sort of envision yourself studying there one day. Even if you find yourself on Yale University's campus, go and check it out. It's a really beautiful space, and we mention it because Yale has such a unique and long and storied history. Yale is the home to Nobel Prize winners, to Oscar winners, to presidents and Supreme Court justices, and so we've got a really wonderful and long history of folks who have truly made a difference in the world. Yale is quite old, but on the other hand, the School of Management is quite new. As you can see from our building, Evans Hall, it's quite modern, it's glass, and that really reflects our ethos about the transparency of business. So if you have a chance to come visit us, in fact, we have an information session in person in January on the 7th. Come visit us and check out our space here. We think that what's cool about being one of the more modern and one of the newest programs on campus is that we're really not tied to the old ways of doing business or of thinking about business. And instead, we're really open to innovation and being really thoughtful about what it means to be doing business in this century and this time. We're going to give you a quick agenda of our time together today. We've done some quick introductions of our team. We're going to give you a program overview. We're going to go through the admissions process and then give you a few things to think about for next steps if you're considering applying for the program for the class of 2026. And as I mentioned a moment ago, a great place to begin our discussion is with the mission of the Yale School of Management. And our mission is to educate leaders for business and society. This makes it a place to be right now that is ideal. We're really thinking about what it means to be a leader who's making a difference. We've always thought about training leaders who are going to be the kind who thrive in both the public and the private sectors by leveraging everything we have to offer here, both at Yale University and at the School of Management. Our faculty are here because they think the same way. They want to be here to be able to train those leaders for business and society moving forward by using their research and some cutting-edge analytical tools. We think our graduates go out and lead purpose-driven lives in every kind of role and in every kind of industry. Our mission is so important to what we do. It pushes us to think about how our students can become leaders who are going to build high-functioning organizations and contribute to the broader well-being of both their small teams and communities, as well as at a larger scale. And it really informs everything we do. I think if you were to find a student or a faculty or staff member here, they'd be able to rattle off our mission with ease. We also consider ourselves a community of purpose, but a community on purpose. And that's really our role in the admissions office, is to bring together a cohort of students who thinks very strongly about what it means to be part of a community that is purposeful. And again, we take this really seriously. When I think about our students, when I think about our community, I do think about having fun. So you'll see from this slide in particular that we do have a good time. This is not a tropical location. In fact, this was taken right here in New Haven. And as you can see, we really do strive to build community by doing fun things together. But of course, we take ourselves pretty seriously too, inside the classroom, in small groups with each other while we're here for class weekends on campus. I think about our students as engaged. I think about them as really wanting to have a non-transactional EMBA experience, one that is very community-oriented. I find them inspired. I find them inspiring. I think they inspire each other all the time, as well as us. I think these are folks who are mission-driven. They're really, truly interested in solving the most complex problems in business and other industries as well. I find them generous. I find them inclusive. And I find these are a group of people who see themselves as leaders at the nexus of business and society. And this is a really fun photo to share a little bit of a story with about you. I'm one of our professors who actually took some of our students on a hike to East Rock Park here in New Haven. So what are we looking for? Who's the admissions office really seeking to add to our community here? Well, number one, this is an executive MBA program. So we are looking for leaders who are experienced in their space, those who have experience leading teams, organizations, and have responsibilities at work. We're also looking for folks who have a demonstrated career evolution. So our students are probably not at their first job right out of college, but instead have already moved on to positions, again, of greater leadership and responsibility, where there's a clear path toward even greater leadership moving forward. And then finally, we want them to be at a point in their career where they can accelerate, and the EMBA will help them do that. And the EMBA at Yale SOM specifically is going to allow them access to all the wonderful resources that we have at the school and at the university to drive that change and that acceleration moving forward. So that's what we think about when we think about who we think is going to make a great addition to our cohort. And to put a finer point on it, I'd love to introduce you to the class of 2024, our first year cohort. On average, they have about 16 years of work experience. Half of our students are identifying as female, which we're really thrilled about. About half or more have advanced degrees, so students who are coming to us from all walks of different industries and educational experiences. We have 10 citizenships represented throughout the class, and on average, our students are about 40 years of age. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Emily, to talk a little bit about the structure of our program.
Thanks so much, Joanne. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, this is an MBA program. So it is something that is academically rigorous and will be a program that you're going to move through over a 22-month period of time. So you can see here a little bit of a representation of our calendar. And so you can anticipate over 60 days out of the office. And so that's why we require employer approval as a part of our admissions process. The weekend is constituted as a Friday and a Saturday. I'll get into that a little bit more deeply momentarily. And this also includes 4 weeks total that are spent in residence over 3 separate periods. And those periods that are spent in residence are required to be in person. And then I'll take you through a little bit about commuting to campus. While we do have a really great position between Boston and New York, we're about halfway through, between those two individual states. And there are excellent transportation options also from Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia, expanding our reach a bit there. Many of our students also travel from outside the Northeast as well. We have students in California, Colorado, Oregon, sometimes Canada and Mexico as well. And this is possible because there are flights into Bradley International Airport or also Tweed, which just added some new locations via Aveo Airlines. We also are closely located near LGA, JFK, and Newark airports. And for those who are unable to make it to travel and be in class in person, we do offer what's called extended classroom. So this provides our students with an opportunity to participate remotely when work or weather or life make it difficult to make the trip physically to New Haven. Our experience with this technology and the support we have here through our IT department and media services has made it possible for our students to utilize our state-of-the-art technology throughout Evans Hall. And so it's also what allowed us to continue the spring semester back when the COVID crisis first hit, especially with those bigger waves of Omicron and Delta variants, and allowed us to maintain our full and robust program and our current classes as well. And the intention here is really to offer just some flexibility, though much of the program is required on campus. This little bit of added flexibility helps when life dictates that you need to stay put or travel elsewhere. And now I'd like to share a little bit about what you can expect within a typical class weekend. As you can see here, it is quite full and structured. Classes do begin on Friday at 9 a.m. and end at 5:30 p.m. And our students will tend to stay Friday into Saturday in local area hotel accommodations because classes do start early, Saturday morning, 8 a.m. sharp, and they do end a bit earlier. So we get you back home to your lives outside of SOM at about 3 p.m. Those classes tend to wrap up. And after class on both days, you will have some options to participate in activities and workshops. And you can see here, Friday, we start with one of our core courses, followed by lunch, colloquium speaker series, oftentimes on a Friday, followed by an additional class, and you'll see an optional opportunity, a hockey game perhaps at the Whale, which is Ingalls Rink, right down the road from our campus. Then you would start classes a bit earlier, have lunch a bit earlier, another class, and then an optional occasional workshop opportunity, one of which might be executive voice and presence, which we'll get into a bit later what those opportunities might be. And then you'll see here a nice representation of what those 2 years, that 22 months, looks like. You'll see in light blue there about 75% general management and advanced management courses in tandem with some leadership development woven throughout the curriculum. A global network week right in the middle between year 1 and year 2. And then 25% will be focused in an area of focus between the colloquium speaker series, as I mentioned prior, and an opportunity to dive deep into asset management, sustainability, or healthcare. All right, and I'll turn it over to my colleague, David.
Great, thank you, Emily. So I'm glad now I have the opportunity, the privilege to speak to you about a few of our really distinguishing features here at the Yale School of Management MBA for Executives program. And so, in our curriculum. And so, first of all, if you will call back to the last slide, you'll recall that there is a whole year basically where you're focusing on our integrated core curriculum, which for us is divided in this organizational stakeholder perspective model. And so in other business schools, you might find that courses will be divided up by discipline. For us, we really want to focus on not just those disciplines, but how you can combine them to really develop a lens to see business cross-sectionally and intersectionally. And so, rather than being in a silo of this discipline, that discipline, you're engaging with your courses the same way that you engage with your stakeholders. And so, for example, we'll have a class like Sourcing and Managing Funds, where that one course, which if we can expand it, will show that that intersects finance, strategy, operations, and accounting, which really helps you understand the various stakeholders that you are working with, but also it helps develop empathy and soft skills on top of the hard skills that are really important to our curriculum. Another element of our integrated core curriculum, our organizational perspective curriculum that I would point out, is our raw case approach. So contrasting that to a more traditional cooked case approach, raw cases do not pre-draw your conclusions for you. You and your team are going to go through quite a bit of content, a really, really uncooked case, but you'll go through and you will draw the conclusions yourself as you go through these courses, really enabling you not just to learn what other people have done, but really enabling you to build your toolkit as you learn to interact with these various stakeholders inside and outside of your organization. Another interesting opportunity that you'll have related to our curriculum is our Global Network Week. So the Yale School of Management is a founding member of the Global Network for Advanced Management, which includes 32 top business schools across 30 countries. And there are a number of ways that we as a school are engaged with the Global Network for Advanced Management. For our students in the MBA for Executives program, the primary way that you would engage with this global network is through our Global Network Week, which between your first and second year, you take the opportunity to go abroad to one of the many programs, generally 12 to 16 or so every different year, where you will be studying on a particular topic in a given location with students not only from Yale School of Management, but also from a variety of other participating schools each year. So it's a great opportunity to go to another place, to learn more about it, to learn on a particular topic that interests you, and to expand your network beyond the really rich and great network that you have here to also include students from around the world. So a couple of both recent and upcoming Global Network Week options. There's the Future of Food, which you could study at the University College Dublin Smurfit Business School. You can learn on sustainable entrepreneurship in Latin America at Agade Business School in Santa Fe, Mexico. Or you can learn business opportunities and challenges in emerging markets at Strathmore Business School in Nairobi, Kenya. So a lot of really great opportunities for you to choose. You would identify a few that you'd be interested in, and our colleagues in the program office team side really work to help ensure that you get the highest of your choices that you can. So a really great opportunity to augment both your experience and your network. Now, a major distinguishing feature for us is our area of focus curriculum. So if you'll recall that slide, about 75% of the program was integrated core and advanced management. About 25% of the program is area of focus curriculum, and where you will take a deep dive in one of our three areas that really aligns with not only your previous experience, but also your long-term trajectory. And this is really important for us in the admissions team, as when we look at candidates, we look at your background, and as you look at this program, it's important for us, for you to determine which of these areas is the best fit for both your previous experience and your goals, how what you'll learn in this area will really align with your overall trajectory. So the first of our three areas of focus is asset management, just going alphabetically. And I'll quickly call your attention to this picture here of a gentleman named Roger Ibbotson, who is if I can say so, rock star in the asset management and asset allocation space. And Roger actually teaches in the integrated course, so every one of our students will have the opportunity to take a course with him. But we share this picture for two reasons. First of all, he runs a stock market game that is very popular amongst our students, but also it showcases the excellent and the deep strength of finance faculty that we have here at the Yale School of Management. So who's the asset management area of focus for? If we take a look at these courses, you'll get a sense, this is really designed for candidates who have a background in and a future in and in support of the financial services industry. And so taking a quick look at our courses, it's headed up by our faculty director, Professor Will Getzman, who is a Yale person through and through. All of his education has been done here. He's been here for quite a while. And he teaches in the asset management area focus, the investing on alternative asset courses class, where he looks at a variety of the both traditional and emerging alternative asset classes, including a particular passion of his, which is art as an asset class. But as you look through these courses, you'll see really this is designed for someone who, again, has a background either in or in direct service of the financial services industry, which can be quite broad and encompass a variety of different types of organizations and backgrounds. But also you might notice that, and you'll see this a little bit later, there are some overlaps between the asset management and sustainability area focus, which is why we're exploring the future options for opportunities to bring both our asset management and sustainability students together for some specific programming and content. Next, I'll just quickly call out a few of our current students and alumni from the asset management area focus. So first, on the left, you'll see Renee Green, who's one of our 3 female veterans I believe in her year, her background previously was she had studied economics and Korean and spent several years in the Army as a military translator before transitioning through Goldman Sachs' Veteran Integration Program, starting a new career in finance with a focus on asset servicing and operations. So she graduated in the class of 2021. Really, really cool. I encourage you, if you ever meet her at one of our events, to go introduce yourself. Next up, we have Jennifer Shinpaw, who's in the class of 2022. So she just graduated. And she started her career teaching English in Japan before moving to Boston, where she has been working as a fixed income trader and ESG associate at HarborVest. And then she also started an organization for women who want to help remove the barrier of meetings that are often take place in the golf course by starting this organization that helps bring and include women in golf so that they can gain access to that traditionally closed off space in business. And then finally, we have Robert Lucas, who is in the class of 2023, who has a master's of public policy, spent time on the Capitol Hill in the early part of his career, and he is currently at the World Bank. I would quickly, or I would just encourage you to check out Robert Lucas on LinkedIn or social media. He has made it his mission while he is here to take advantage of every single opportunity and visit every single part of Yale University. And he's written some really, really great blogs and shorter articles about his experiences here, but really a very cool candidate and also a great example of just taking advantage of some of the richness that we have to offer. Next up is our healthcare area focus, which was the original area focus in the MBA for Executives program until we started our other two, closing on 10 years ago now. And so this is a picture of our healthcare conference, which, as far as we know, is the largest student-led healthcare conference, period. And so this is actually just a breakout session from what is a quite large conference that has continued strong even through the pandemic, albeit virtually for a little while. But students, alumni, and faculty from all across Yale and the healthcare industry participate in this conference every year, and just showcases a lot of the great opportunity that we have to leverage some of the really great experience and scholarship in healthcare across Yale University. So the healthcare sector is undergoing rapid and momentous change in the combination of ongoing technological development and far-reaching regulatory change means that no business model can survive without constant revision and rejuvenation. And then when you add on this the importance of addressing issues of health inequities that we see, our students are really well placed to really need an education to help formalize their business skills so they can not only do well in a rapidly changing environment, but do good as well. So our healthcare area of focus is led by Dr. Howard Foreman, who is jointly appointed faculty at SOM, the Yale School of Medicine and Public Health. He's also a practicing radiologist. He's very prolific on social media. And somehow they tell me he finds time to sleep in the midst of all this. I'm not sure when. So he has been involved with our program for quite a while now, since the very beginning. And he, in the MBA for Executives program, teaches the Healthcare Policy, Finance, and Economics course. You can see a variety of the other courses that are here for students in the healthcare area focus, and I call particular attention to the Population Health and Health Equity course, which is delivered by our professor, Dr. Marcela Nunez-Smith, who has previously just come off of an appointment with the Biden administration, helping them in their COVID response and addressing issues of health inequity. And she is also the faculty director of the Posen Commonwealth Fund Fellowship in Health Equity Leadership at Yale University. So some really, really excellent scholarship here, again, focused on the rapidly changing environment and also addressing some of the major systemic issues that we face here in the United States. Just pointing out a couple of quick profiles. So on the left, we have one of our inaugural Posen Commonwealth Fund Fellows, Dr. Cecilia Calhoun, who currently is the medical director of the Adult Sickle Cell Program here at Yale, at the Yale Cancer Center. Next up, we have Matthew Hicks, who is the director of Medicaid strategy at Settlers Dorsey in Atlanta. Matt was uniquely positioned at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic and really helped the state of Georgia advising on matters of how they as a state would respond to COVID-19. And then finally on the right, we have Tricia Farmer, who will be graduating in the spring, who is Vice President in Pediatric Care Transformation Services in Hackensack Meridian Health in Suffield, Connecticut. So really, really rich diversity of backgrounds here. We have practitioners, we have people working in pharmaceuticals, we have people working in biotech, we have people working in insurance. Really from all across the healthcare value chain is where our students in the healthcare area focus come from. And then finally, last but certainly not least, we have our sustainability area focus. And I would start by saying, as our faculty director, Todd Court, likes to say, sustainability is not a singular career or path, but it really cuts across all careers and paths. It's not a particular industry, but it's about how we think about environmental and social impact in business. And so for us, we're looking for people who see pathways by which sustainability can be used by business to create more profit and to create more benefit for people in the environment. So really focusing on that triple bottom line. Again, not just doing well, but doing good. And this picture really exemplifies the commitment and the opportunity that we have in the program. this is actually feels a little bit like cheating. This is Kroon Hall at the Yale School of the Environment, which is not in our building, but directly across the street. This is the library in Kroon Hall, which is I believe, LEED Gold certified building, one of the most sustainable buildings, probably the most sustainable one on campus, but just showcases both the proximity, but the great and strong connection that we have at the School of Management with the School of the Environment, which is also exemplified by the Center for the Business and Environment at Yale, CBAE, you might sometimes hear us call it, at which Dr. Court also has appointments. So the sustainability area of focus, as I mentioned, headed up by Professor Todd Court, who also teaches the sustainability investing course. And really, it's not exclusively focused on climate change, that does present a major focus for the program, as you'll see. For example, with a course like climate change, which is taught by Professor Doug Kaiser, who also holds appointments at the law school. And it's really, again, focused on those looking to use business to address creatively some of the most challenging issues that we as a society face. Just pointing at a couple of profiles that we have in our alumni and current students. So on the left, you'll see Sami Ghazi, who was previously the right-hand person to Indra Nooyi, the former CEO of PepsiCo, who is also a School of Management alumna. And currently, he's a senior director of the Sustainability Strategic Partnerships Office at PepsiCo. Next up, we have Fareen Sunderji, who's Vice President in Commercial Operations at TC Energy, so she's coming to us from Canada. And also, you see, we do have a contingent of students coming from the energy space, whether it's traditional fossil fuels looking to make a transition to more sustainable options, or it's people working in sustainable energy, definitely an energy contingent in our program. And then also on the right, you can see Lali Ogundaragbe in the class of 2023, who is our customer fleet director at Pratt & Whitney. So really, sustainability, it runs the gamut in terms of industries represented. There is no one particular industry, and for many of our students, it's not that sustainability is a particular or specific explicit part of their job description, but they're really passionate about using their role and sometimes developing their roles at their organization to have a positive impact not only on themselves, their bottom lines, but also on their communities and the world around them. I will hand it over to Joanne to talk about our last feature of our curriculum, which is our advanced management courses.
Thanks so much, David. So in addition to all of these courses we've talked about in the core curriculum, the area of focus courses, the colloquium for area of focus, you will round out year 2 by taking what we call advanced management courses. So this is a pretty structured program, as we've already noted, but in the meantime, you have a little bit of flexibility to take some really cool electives that we've sort of curated for you in an attempt to give you some access to some of the most requested and most popular electives at the School of Management. So you'll see at the top here in the lighter blue some of the courses that we offer that you'll have a chance to choose between. And of course, these are all subject to change. They may be a little bit different by the time you roll into your second year. And then in the bottom, these are courses that we will dictate for you by, again, choosing from what we think are the most requested, the most popular, and frankly, probably the most important courses beyond our curriculum in the core and the areas of focus to make sure you graduate with your MBA that's meaningful and in a way that makes sure you get the exact right tools that you need to become that leader for business and society that we keep talking about. So these courses do expand on the core curriculum and then within the focus area courses. And for example, your initial course on managing groups and teams and the employee class are a bit of a precursor to the work that you'll do in the designing and leading organizations course. So this is going to round out your year 2. And as I said, these could change here and there. We're always on the lookout for making sure we're offering you the best of what SOM has to offer. In addition, we'll call these co-curricular opportunities. We have students who will take advantage of everything that Yale has to offer, and that includes entrepreneurship. So we'll start there, talk about what we have to offer here at the School of Management. We have our own entrepreneurship center, courses, faculty, and we have seen many a student come up to this program looking for founders, looking for co-partners, looking for maybe even an undergraduate student or two to partner with and start their own company. The resources that we offer here, not only at SOM, but we do encourage you to reach out to the larger Yale University entrepreneurial ecosystem through SciCity. And that is the Center for Innovative Thinking at Yale, not too far from SOM, always doing really neat workshops, hackathons. They even offer some summer internship programs that, believe it or not, some of our EMBA students have taken advantage of in the quieter time in the EMBA program between year 1 and year 2. In addition to entrepreneurship, a lot of our students will have an interest in taking what we call small networked online courses, or SNOCs, through the Global Network for Advanced Management. This is a cool opportunity for you to try something a little bit different and take a class entirely online. And this is an opportunity to learn from folks outside of Yale SOM. So perhaps you'll sign up for a class that's actually being taught at a school well outside the US and at a time where it makes more sense to teach that class. Maybe a little bit of a strange time here for you. And for us, taking a small networked online class not only offers the opportunity for an elective, but really sort of forces you to figure out how to meet in small groups or teams when time differences might be an issue. There may be language barriers. There may be opportunities to just get a really different perspective. So that's a cool opportunity that you may have time in your schedule to take advantage of, because those courses are quite flexible in terms of how they're taught. In addition to that, let's say you've got a topic that you're particularly interested in. We have had students in the past conduct independent research study projects with some of our faculty. In some cases, these result in things like a book. So one of our alumni recently published a book with one of her professors, all sorts of opportunities to dig a little bit deeper. The EMBA's no joke, and from a time management perspective, it certainly can be quite challenging, but if you're really eager to use the resources at Yale and the opportunity to take advantage of being so connected to our faculty here, you are supported in your quest to do so. And then finally, you are permitted to take elective courses throughout Yale. Most of our EMBA students, unfortunately, probably don't have a ton of time in their already busy schedules to come back to campus and take courses at other schools or programs, including the School of Management. Most of these classes are taught during the workday, but if you've got a super flexible schedule or a very understanding supervisor, there may be an opportunity for you to come to campus. Our courses here are all taught in person these days, but if you've got that flexibility and you're just dying to take something really cool like planets and galaxies, like one of our students did a few years ago, or perhaps a language class, those courses are open to you. And literally, we fling the doors of Evans Hall open and encourage you to explore everything that Yale University has to offer. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but on Friday nights, we do try to have some fun and inject an opportunity for you to learn more about Yale University in general. So on Friday nights, you might find yourself at a tailgate for a Harvard-Yale football game. You may find yourself at a hockey game at the Whale, which we talked a little bit about earlier. Perhaps there'll be a tour of one of our many amazing libraries, such as the Beinecke Rare Book Library. And while that might not be your idea of a great time on a Friday night, we really do want to offer these students an opportunity to take advantage of Yale. You've only got a sort of 48-hour period while you're here, and so the EMBA program does a great job of offering you the opportunity to get out and see the place. It's a pretty spectacular place to check out. So definitely encourage you to stick around on Friday nights if you can. Maybe there's days you have to go back to the hotel and get some sleep, but we're going to offer you those opportunities to explore. And then on Saturday, kind of the same thing. These opportunities for you to learn from our faculty around the university are numerous, and we're so excited to be able to bring these to you live and in person. So you may be done with class at 3 o'clock and you might be done and ready to head back. If you want to stick it out a little longer, our workshops do tend to sort of sell out every single class weekend that they're offered. And the opportunities might be anything from Professor Mark Brackett talking about emotional intelligence to Zoe Chance, who just wrote a wonderful book from the School of Management talking about influence, persuasion, and negotiation, all the way to Grace Zandarsky, a professor at the School of Drama, who comes in and talks about executive voice and presence, which as you ascend to positions of leadership in your organization, you may find is a space you need a little bit more work in. Again, these are optional, but our students do a great job, I think, of taking good advantage of these unique opportunities in our program. All right, we're going to finish up here, wrap up with talking about the admissions process. I'm going to turn it back over to Emily to go through our process and our application itself.
Thanks, Joanne. And so, as you can see here, the admissions process is pretty streamlined. We do that by design. We're not trying to trick you or put you in a position where you don't know what's coming next. And so, first and foremost, when you feel your application is the most ready it will possibly be, you'll submit your application by one of our round deadlines, of which there are 3 in each application cycle. We then have an admissions committee review process that is very streamlined, but also very thorough. We do want to take our time getting to know each individual applicant, and you've put a lot of work and effort, hopefully, in your application, so we want to see that through and make sure that we are giving your candidacy the consideration that it deserves. And then you will go ahead, you will have an interview day program with us as well, which is really an exciting day on campus. It is on campus, that opportunity, and a chance to see Yale SOM and visit Evans Hall and get to know our community a bit better. And then we will return to have another admissions committee review, taking your interview notes and information that was collected that day into account, and then we issue a final decision. And you'll see here on this slide a little bit more about our application components. Of course, we're looking for a resume, 1 to 2 pages in length, ideally. Of course, sometimes it's a bit longer if you come and are interested in our healthcare area of focus. We understand those can be a bit more lengthy. We're looking for 2 essays plus a shorter essay regarding your area of focus and how you might align with that. 2 letters of recommendation, professional in nature, and then a valid executive assessment, GMAT, or GRE score. We are also looking for transcripts from all colleges and universities you've attended. Unofficial transcripts are absolutely 100% fine as long as they have the key information that we're needing to see. Also, as I stated earlier, an employer approval form, the application fee, and then if all signs point to we want to get to know more about you, we will go ahead and invite you for an interview soon after. You'll see here our 3 rounds of admission. We had our November 1 deadline, and we've passed, and we've admitted a fantastic group in our round 1 consideration, and we have now set our sights on round 2, which is coming up. There's still plenty of time to put together an application and be considered for round 2, which will be January 30th, followed by round 3, which is March 28th of 2023, and all of those roads would lead, if admitted, to an enrollment, which would then be in July of 2023. And so that's just a bit of information there. You might be wondering, hopefully this has appealed to you and you're really very interested in applying and you're wondering what those next steps might be. First and foremost, I'd recommend submitting your resume or LinkedIn profile for a pre-assessment. One of our team members here and our colleague Liz on the back end will get in touch with you and hopefully share a little bit about what we think next steps might be for you there. You might want to also attend additional EMBA and Yale SOM virtual events. We have lots of great content coming up after the holiday season when we return to campus. Also, we've recorded right here in this studio some helpful application tips. We call them application tips clips, and we are very excited to share that with you in a digital audio format so that you can listen on the train or on your way into work. And also, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to emba.admissions@yale.edu. Our team is always happy to be in touch and share any advice on any other questions you might have. And on this next slide, you'll see some photos of all of us here, along with our assistant dean, Wendy Sung. And these are members of our team, and we welcome you to reach out to any of us as you navigate this process. And now we're going to head on over to Q&A. Looks like we've got some great questions accumulated here, and I'm going to turn it to Joanne to get us started.
Thanks, Emily. David, Emily, thank you so much for all that great information about our program. I hope that was helpful to our audience. I know it's a lot. So we definitely encourage you to continue to review our website, read our blog posts, our December newsletters coming out shortly to get to know the program. And again, as Emily said, we've got great virtual events coming up. If you have an opportunity to make it to campus, we'd love to have you here and see our program in action and see Evans Hall in person as well. So a couple of questions, guys, that we had from the audience. We've got about 5 minutes left. And I think a really great one, and maybe Emily, you can touch on this a bit since we talked a little bit about our students and how wonderful they are. How do students build community when they're on campus, when they're off campus? Do they join clubs? David, I know you have a lot of experience in counseling students in this way as well. Let me start with you. How do you notice that our students are building community?
Wow. Well, I'll tell you, I think that our students are really good at it. I think through the opportunities that we provide, such as Fridays Cross Campus and other sorts of ways that we get our students engaging meaningfully from the moment they're admitted to when they enroll to when they join us on campus, we really do have a lot of thoughtfulness there. We have a designated programs team that acts as our academic affairs and student life arms that are there for our EMBA students specifically. So I think that that's a really unique feature as well. And they're always fostering community and connection in that way. But our students are also eager, I think, to get together with one another. And one great example that I can come up with is that there was an incredible event with one of our asset management area of focus cohort members. And she invited myself from admissions and a number of current students to an event that she was holding in New York. One of our faculty members presented at that event. It was an incredible event. It was incredibly well represented in terms of Yale SOM students and alums. And I was just so amazed that everyone was able to come in midweek to New York to get together and to support their friend. I think it was really something unique and special that I think our program just organically does. Our students are really interested. I'm not sure if there are other examples you might like to share.
What do you think, David?
Yeah, I one common one that I see that I'll just chime in among many, because I do agree our students are very eager and they do quite a bit. It's common for me to see our students get involved with students from the full-time program or for other degree programs that we have here for competitions. It's very common for case competitions, entrepreneurship competitions, for our students to collaborate and frankly often win. But there are some really, really great opportunities for our students, who really, really commit and want to get as much out of this program, this opportunity, and this really special network that we have. We definitely, we think we've got something special here.
Well, speaking of special and speaking of students and communities, we do have one question about the larger cohort being split into smaller groups or smaller teams. And that is right. So if you're asking whether or not that's a thing that we do, the answer is yes. They're called learning teams or learning teams, small groups. I think we have a number of different names. And the way that they're decided upon is really through the admissions team. So if you haven't figured it out already, we spend an abundance of time getting to know each one of our candidates really well. And so prior to enrolling in the program or showing up in July, the admissions team is working really hard on the back end to put our students into their learning teams. This is a group of 6, maybe 7 students tops, splitting up the 60 to 70 person cohort into small learning teams of 6 or 7. So it's not just that we throw every name on the floor and then pick them up and put them in groups, but instead we're thoughtful about it. We've gotten to know you so well over these months that it makes sense for the admissions team to take the first stab at putting our groups together. We make sure we're thinking about things like gender diversity and geographic diversity and area focused diversity, quantitative skills diversity. And so we're really thoughtful about how we put the groups together. And that's another way that we build community as well. Last question, just given the time that we have, I'm curious if either one of you would be willing to go out on a limb to talk about the EA. We've done webinars on the EA. We've got a great one that we recorded back in August with our friend Eric Chambers from GMAC, talking specifically about the sort of setup of the exam, as well as its place and utility in the admissions process. But Emily, what's a score that would be recommended for students who are looking at our program?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I would say a large number of our students do sit for the EA because it's kind of designed for executive level professionals who are seeking to further their education. And it's helping to bridge the gap between your academic history, which had been a long time ago, and right now. And so what we tend to suggest is that you are aiming for a 150 total score and a 10 on each section. There's 3 separate sections: quantitative, verbal, and integrated reasoning. So if you're hovering somewhere around there, great. We're also happy to consult with you. If you'd like to reach out, give us a call, send us an email, let us know where you landed. We're happy to take a look and maybe suggest a retake, or tell you that we think based on the other information you provide that you're probably in okay shape there. Another thing I'd recommend personally would be taking it in person if you can. You're going to get your score a lot sooner, and it's just going to put you in a better position, I think, not to have distractions or other things that can potentially get in your way when you're trying to sit for an exam in an online format from your home. So just a little bit of advice, but also advice we can cover in a pre-assessment. So I hope that you'll take us up on that offer too.
And how about prepping for the exam, David? What have you seen has been successful for some of our candidates?
So I think most of our students will generally tend to go with the materials that are provided by GMAC, which is the organization that offers both the GMAT and the executive assessment. They've got some really good opportunities. They've got some practice tests. They've got some materials that you can buy to test. And we found for the vast majority of our students that has been sufficient. For students who maybe have felt a little bit more uncomfortable or a little bit more nervous, sometimes students will look at things like MBA math just to sort of shore up their general mathematics, their quantitative preparation. But really for most students, frankly, for all students, I would say start with the materials that they have. And if you feel like you'd like a little bit more, absolutely look into things. But like I said, for most of our students, I think the materials that they provide have been more than sufficient.
Couldn't agree with you more. Great note to end on a positive note. Go out there and take that EA exam. You're going to do just fine, and we're happy to talk to you more about it, but don't let it be the stopping point for you. We promise you're going to get through that. We will take the GMAT and the GRE as well, but like Emily said, we really do recommend the EA, both for where it's provided, where they've provided it for an executive population specifically, but also, frankly, it's a lot shorter, an hour and a half versus 3+ hours on the other two exams. But as you wish, and come talk to us if you have any questions. With that, we are out of time. Thank you so much for you guys being here. Thank you to Liz and our media services team on the back end for letting us use the wonderful broadcast studio space in Evans Halls. And it's so wonderful to have you join us today. We will record this, we'll put it on our YouTube channel, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar, which is our application tips webinar in advance of round 2. And we'll double check my events page for that. So thanks again, everybody. Good luck and happy holidays and happy new year to all of you out there.